So are we seeing a shift in the condo market? The numbers are in for Splash for April 2022. I'm Craig Duran with the Duran Group over at Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices, and we're tracking a few trends that are interesting and I think you want to pay attention to if you're tracking the real estate market in Splash. Before I get into the numbers, I'm getting a lot of feedback on these videos that people like to see what's happening, especially as we're trying to figure out what's going on in the real estate market. If you know anyone that would benefit from this, either another Splash owner or just someone who owns condos in general, because we do general condo market updates also, please share this with them or subscribe to the YouTube channel or urge them to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I like to get an update out once a month. If you're on the email list, we're sending out an email list once a week on Friday. So let me know if you'd like either one of those, or please share it with someone you think that might want some of this information. Let's get right to the numbers. I think there's some very important things to pay attention to in the condo market. First of all, let's talk overall theory for a second. Supply and demand. If prices are going to go from here to here, or if markets are going to shift, it doesn't do this overnight. We start here, we might drift to here, we might drift to here, we might pick up momentum and get some speed, but at the beginning of things, we see smaller incremental shifts in what's happening. So I like to look at the numbers to see if we see any small trends. If we've been going in this direction and we're going to maybe go in this direction, is there anything that shows us that? So I think there's some things worth paying attention to. Right here is a spreadsheet we track. Every week we track a few different things in the condo market. I want you to pay attention to the first column B here and the third column D. I guess that's second and fourth technically. So active is, just think about it as supply for a minute, and new contracts, just think about that as demand. Active means the number of units that are for sale in the market in any given week. Demand is the number of new contracts being written in any given week. Now take a look at this for a second. Supply. If you go through these numbers, we had about 50% fewer condos for sale in January, week over week, than we did the year before. Buyers just didn't have as much choice. 50% fewer choices. You walked in the condo store and there were fewer choices. You had half the amount of condos to buy. And people were still buying condos. We had a lot of demand, 36% more, 9% more, 16% more year over year. And 2021 was already a very, very good year for condo sales. February, still down about the same, 50-some% to 52% down in supply. Look at the number of new contracts. We're writing 17% fewer, 10% fewer, 17% fewer, 24% fewer. Notice that big shift. We went from writing in the green more contracts year over year to fewer contracts year over year. March, this is a big one. 40%, 34%, 27%, 11%. In 1 month, we went from where we had been at about 50% fewer condos. We ended up down only about 11%, meaning we added a lot of condos for sale. We added supply to the market. Now, the number of new contracts being written, pay attention to that too. February, we were down, and we were down 17, 10, 17, 24. Look at March. We were down 47, 51, 49, 31, bigger numbers. Less demand, more supply again. April. First time that we actually year over year have even more supply added to the market, and the number of new contracts being written down again, 25%, 25, 34. So without getting deep into the numbers, just look at what's happened since January. January, we had 50% fewer condos year over year, and we were writing more contracts. By April, we have more supply in the market year over year, and we're writing far fewer contracts than we were. Supply and demand, more supply is coming into the market. When we look at months of inventory, remember 4 or 5 months of inventory. It's an important number we track in real estate. 4 to 5 months of inventory represents sort of a neutral market in real estate. Here's that months of inventory number. Those of you who've seen this chart before, I won't go through the whole thing in this video, but pretty important here. January, we were at 0.54 months of inventory, meaning theoretically we would sell out of the entire condo market in a half a month. I don't think people appreciate just how hot the market had been up until that point. From January to April, we're almost 5 times slower just in a few months. That means that all those things I just showed you, more supply, less demand, it's taking longer to sell a condo now. Instead of on average 0.54 months, it's now 2.27 months, which feels like forever when we were used to five offers in the first day. When you look at Splash specifically, Splash is not quite as slow, although there's not as much data to track. If you look, there are only a handful of things happening in Splash at any given time. So at the moment, there's still a good pace of sales in Splash. As things come up for sale, they're still selling pretty fast over there. Still a little bit hotter market from the data than the overall market in general. I hadn't done this report in a couple of months, so I wanted to show you March and April sales in case you hadn't seen those. I know most of you probably have, but in case you haven't, in March and April, we had a 1-bedroom close in Splash for $475. We had 2-bedroom plans, all the same floor plans sell at $569, $575, and $589. Main takeaways from this, from a strategy standpoint, especially if you're thinking about selling in 2022. Looks like the market is trending, adding supply, less demand. It's not working in our favor if we're an owner and we're thinking about selling. Consider this. Look at what happened to the market April through August of last year. Here's April. The red line represents our supply, the number of units for sale. April, May, June, July, August. Dramatic increase in supply, number of units for sale, and not surprising if you really think about why. In the summertime, all these units are rented pretty heavily. It's hard for us as agents to show a buyer something, even if they want to buy something. It's very hard to schedule showing appointments. So what happens naturally in the process is we just write fewer contracts in the summertime. It wouldn't be surprising then to see the same thing happen again this year. And if we're already adding some supply to the market, we could even be adding more supply to the market. Once buyers feel like they have more choices out there, they're not going to be in as much of a hurry. When you get to later in the season, August, September, October, buyers are a little less motivated anyway. It's not like beach season is right upon us and we're going to use the unit right away or we're going to rent it right away. So they can be a little more patient that time of year. Patient buyers, less motivated buyers, less supply, more supply in the market, buyers having more choices is a very different market than not many condos to buy right at the beginning of beach season, lots of demand. Those are some of the shifts we're watching, and some of the shifts, if we project this, it wouldn't be surprising to see that months of inventory number continue to trickle up throughout the summertime. So back to if you're thinking about selling in the summer or this in 2022, very possibly the highest prices we'll see this year for condo sales are happening now or may have already happened. So if you're thinking about it, I would start the process sooner rather than later. If you are set on getting through rental season for whatever reason, even though most buyers like pending rentals and will work to keep the pending rental schedule, think about starting the process. If you are selling, think about starting the process sooner than you might instinctively feel like. A lot of people feel like, hey, let's call around Labor Day to start the process. Rental season's over. Think about starting late June, early July at the latest. It will take us a little bit of time to get photos and videos. If your unit's rented, we have to pick a day where it'll be cleaned and we have some time to shoot all those. We better get lucky, and that better be a nice day for weather. If it's not a nice weather day, we're going to have to wait again until we get through another rental guest. So start the process a little earlier than you might. If things are taking a little longer to sell, starting in early June, late June, early July is probably getting you to a closing at the end of rental season anyway, when the revenue will come in. But you'll be starting the process before a potential rush of competition when more people normally come to the market in the off season. So think about that. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out anytime. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the condo market, real estate in general. My cell number is 850-527-0221. Again, if you think someone would benefit from this stuff, please share it with them. There are a lot of people who own in condo buildings that I don't have email addresses for, and I'm not going to spam call and advertise to them. If people want the information, please opt in, please share it with them. If not, no problem. So at any rate, thanks for watching. We'll update you more next month and see if this trend continues.